In this next section, we're going to be talking about fifth string root modes, and this is kind of the next logical step after you learn the sixth string root shapes. And as you start to learn these, you're really going to start to see how your fifth string root mode shapes are already interlocking with your sixth string shapes. Once again, you kind of have to get through them first before you can really start the visualization process. So let's take a look at the first one. Here is fifth string root G major. All right, here it is a little bit faster. All right, something else I'd like to point out is that one of the cool things that I like about fifth string root mode shapes that's different than the sixth string root shapes is that they go from root to octave. And what I mean is they start on a G, or for the G major shape it starts on a G, and it ends on a G. So the scale in my ear sounds a lot more complete or resolved than if you start on a sixth string root shape. The sixth string root shapes start on the octave and they go a fourth above. So it doesn't sound as complete as a fifth string root shape. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just different, and it's important to know both shapes. This one just has that little extra edge by starting on the root and ending on the octave. All right, so the next shape is going to be A Dorian Minor. We're going to be on the fifth string, 12th fret. Here it is. All right, we're going to move right on to the B Phrygian minor shape. This is on the fifth string, 14th fret, and it starts right here. All right, before we move on, I'd like to take a second to just talk about fingerings real quick, because not all fingerings are set in stone. And what I'd like to talk about is a lot of these modes have a shape that I call whole step, because it involves two whole steps. Now, I play it with my index, middle, and pinky because that's what works better for me. Now, I see a lot of other players out there that use their index, ring, and pinky, and if that's the case, that's okay. You don't have to play it exactly the way I do. But for the two whole step shapes, you can use either index, ring, and pinky, or index, middle, and pinky. Now, some of the other shapes you're going to encounter are going to be a little bit more obvious. If you encounter the shape like the B Phrygian shape that starts with half step, whole step, that's obviously going to be, or should be, your index, middle, and pinky. Now, if you start on the Dorian shape, that would be index, ring, and pinky, but when I play it, sometimes I don't use that fingering, and the reason I don't always use that fingering is because the next string automatically starts with the whole step shape. And for me, it's a little bit easier to play the whole step shape, again with my index, middle, and pinky, just because that's the way I've done it for years. So when I'm coming from the whole step, half step shape, I'm going to use fingers 1, 2, and 3 because it flows better into this shape. So if you're more comfortable using index, ring, and pinky, you're more likely going to play the whole step, half step shape with index, ring, and pinky also, because it's going to flow smoother and make a cleaner transition for you, okay? So those are just some little technical tips to keep in mind when you're playing these scales, that if you see me doing it a little bit different than what you're doing, it's okay, as long as, you know, it works for you. You know, as long as you're not doing something weird like trying to, you know, do something that just doesn't make sense at all. So anyway, keep that in mind. Up to the next mode is going to be C Lydian Major. And this is mode 4 on the fifth string, 15th fret. All right, mode 5 is going to be D Mixolydian. This is on the fifth string, 17th fret. I'd like to also point out that once you memorize these modes, that you should play them in both octaves of the fretboard. Now the G major one that we did first can only be played at 10, and A Dorian Minor could be played lower, but you have to incorporate some open strings. However, you can do B Phrygian Minor once you learn it at 14. You can also practice it at 2. C Lydian Major would be at 15, and also 3. Mixolydian is going to be at 17 and 5. And then we're going to do E natural minor now, first at 17, at 19. You can also practice E natural minor at 7. Now, the last fifth string root mode is going to be F sharp Locrian minor, and because of the key we're in, we're only going to be able to play this one at 9. So here it is. All right, that's all 7 fifth string root modes. Once you have a chance to get these under your fingers and really get them memorized, you want to start making the comparison from your fifth string root modes to your sixth string root modes. In other words, once you get a good chance to look at these, you're going to start to see how you have 2 shapes in each position. For example, a quick explanation of this would be to look at the fifth string root G major shape. It goes like this. If you go back and review your sixth string root D Mixolydian shape, you're going to notice that inside this shape is the fifth string root G major. All right, now it's going to be harder for you to make these visualizations while I'm doing it here now while you're watching the lesson. The best thing to do is to refer to the tab and look at the diagrams, because you'll be able to see how we have 2 shapes in each position. And you really want to start paying close attention to this, because this is going to be how you slowly unlock the fretboard and gain fretboard visualization.